Hey guys, welcome to The Sophisticated Scoundrel. Tonight I am drinking Tenjaku whiskey. It is, as I'm sure many of you know, one of my go-to whiskeys. Great for sipping in the evening, especially when you want to just chill out and relax. I'm going to have a little sip right now. So today's video is about the man who is the creative, and how this relates to masculinity, because I grew up a very creative kid. I've always been in the arts. I played soccer, I golfed, I skateboarded, and I did kung fu. Those were my athletic things, but I was never really into sports. And there's this thing that a lot of the times we associate masculinity with sports and physical fitness and strength, and that's true. I mean, obviously, hard work, testing your body, pushing your body to the limits, doing physical exertion, that's a very masculine thing. And so when you're a guy who doesn't really gravitate towards those things and is more in the arts, like myself, I think sometimes guys get confused and wonder, well, is that a masculine thing? Am I still masculine if I like the arts, or if I'm a creative kind of guy? And I've gotten a lot of questions on Instagram from guys who had this question. So I want to talk about this today because if you think about masculinity, what is masculinity? Masculinity is being decisive, having perseverance, being a leader, being confident, being strong, overcoming obstacles, pushing through barriers, completing your mission, whatever task it is. That's what masculinity is. And when you compare that with the arts, well, if you think about it, it's a very masculine thing. The arts, you have to have quite a bit of courage to put yourself out into the world. Arts is all about being looked at, judged, getting response from the world. You also have to have a vision, a very strong vision, because there's no set guidelines for what is right and wrong. In football or basketball, if you get the ball in the basket or down to the other end of the field, it's a very clean, clear decision of whether or not you succeeded or not. With art, painting, photography, filmmaking, music, there is no, you might finish the song, but doesn't mean that it's good. And so therefore, but the very act of setting out to create something, go through the process of making it and then completing it and putting it out into the world, well, that very much is a masculine set of behaviors. It's a very masculine thing. And I think where people get tripped up is that the image of an artist is sort of like this touchy-feely, emo kind of a guy. That's not wrong. There's obviously a lot of guys out there who are like that. And art involves diving deep into your soul, your human experience, emotion. But there is nothing that says emotion is not a masculine thing. In fact, masculinity is extremely emotional. Men have such deep emotion. There's a beautiful saying, Japanese saying, that goes, "Still waters run deep." That's basically talks to the fact that you might not say much. It might not look like something is going on the surface, but deep down below, things are churning. Things are very deep, and you can't tell from just looking at the surface of the water how far something goes down. It's the same with men and masculinity. We may be stoic, we may not speak all the time and share everything that we're thinking, but it does not mean that there's not things going on. So art attempts to take those things that we're feeling and working on inside or thinking about and put them into a form that people can see and experience. And that in and of itself, that process of taking something intangible and making it tangible is a very, very masculine activity and a very masculine thing to do. So, and when you look at like rock stars, right? Painters over the years. These kind of guys were very charismatic and enigmatic towards women. They were very popular and will continue to always be popular among women because they're so masculine and that attracts the feminine. So what exactly is it about art and the creative world that makes a man attractive or masculine? Well, I think for the creative world, for the art world, a man that's in that world, there's something mysterious, there's something alluring, and again, a man who can tap not only into his very driven side, that passion and getting things done, but also tapping into that emotional, more feminine side and being able to understand emotion and being in control of it, but also take that and make something with it in a productive way. Well, this satisfies a woman's need for that alpha guy who is very, who gets things done, who's diligent, who has that strength, but also for that beta need that she has, which is the emotional side, the comforting and the nurturing side of a man that women want. They want both, right? We all know this. The saying alpha fucks and beta bucks. She wants that guy that she can fuck and get ravaged by, and then she wants that beta bucks, which is the provisional side of a man. What are the resources? Can she live a comfortable life? Can he look after and take care of her? So if you're just the one side, just the provider, then you become that beta simp. But if you're just the alpha guy, then she might fuck you, but she might then after a while dump your ass because you have nothing else going on besides the fuck. So being an artistic guy, I would have to say, puts you actually in a very unique, powerful position because of the fact that if you can embrace those more dominant alpha traits by having goals, like I'm gonna have my own art show, or I'm gonna make this film, or I'm gonna do a photo exhibit or whatever it may be. You have this goal, this dream, this very strong vision. And that's another thing too, is that artists, like myself, we have a very strong vision for what we want. That requires confidence, right? That requires leadership. That requires being able to sacrifice some things to achieve what you want to do. Now, what does that sound like? Those are all qualities that are very attractive and are very masculine, especially, to women. But it also involves this other side where, for me as a filmmaker, I have to dive deep into what gives an emotional response, whether it be through humor, drama, fear. I have to understand color, shape, shot composition, movement, sound, music, all these different pacing, all these different things. I need to understand that. And that is using a completely different part of my brain. But because I have that, and then I mix it with my very, the determination that I have, and when I set out to do something, I get it done. I'm also, I'm a director, so when I'm on set, I'm a leader. I have to lead the entire crew. Everything that we do has to go through me. I have to make decisions. I have to be decisive. I have to be confident. I have to, when the shit hits the fan, I have to minimize it and make sure everyone, is okay and relaxed. So being an artist, if you are that kind of artist guy who just who just has completely fallen into the emotional and emo-y side and mopey and the tragic artist, well, that still might be an attractive thing for some women, but that is when things start to lose that masculine edge. You have to be able to delve into that side of yourself, but then come back over here and make sure that you have emotional self-control. You can let yourself dive into some deep, dark places or whatever it is that you're exploring, but you have to make sure that you come back here and not let it take over who you are as a man. You have to be able to be in control of that stuff. And, sometimes you're not going to be able to do that, but for the most part, you need to be sure that you're checking in and coming back and not letting yourself swing too far this way, because if you do, that's when a guy can really lose himself. And I look at a man like, everyone loves Anthony Bourdain. I don't know him very well. I just only read his experience with the woman that he was with. And this is a guy who's an artist, smart, dreamer, voyager, traveler. But he let his emotions and he sought validation through a woman who was really bad for him. A woman who was a temptress. She was, he was clearly very beta because she was fucking a younger dude. She was having an affair with this other guy who was probably much more alpha. I think Anthony Bourdain was probably too feminine, too beta. He didn't bring that edge when it came to his romantic relationship. When I see pictures of them together, you can tell by his body language that he treated her like a mommy. He's like cuddling up to her, leaning on her shoulder, just looked like a little boy. Versus, you look at a guy like Jason Statham when he's with his wife. He stands up tall. He has his arm around her waist, and she leans on him. He's the rock. Whereas a guy like Anthony Bourdain, very artistic and very creative, he was not the rock of that relationship, and he sought her to be that rock. And women don't want to play that role. So if you're going to be a creative guy, you need to make sure that you are the rock. If you want to get in touch with your emotions and be an emotional artist, that's fine. But at the end of the day, you need to separate that out from your romantic relationships. And you don't want to be, when you're doing those things, do it on your own. Don't be doing it in front of your girl, like handle your work separately. Then when you're with her, you need to slip back into that fully masculine role. You can still, talk art and be passionate and, you can dive deep into topics, but you don't want to be this emo-y, woe is me, the tragic artist who's just, poor me, nobody likes my work. That's not the way to go if you're going to be an artist and a creative guy. You still got to fucking suck it up. If you're not making money with art and you're struggling, well, that's your struggle that you need to figure out and deal with it. Not go cry to your girlfriend mommy. So, this whole topic of is art masculine, is being a creative masculine? Yes, it absolutely is. But just like anything else, you have to make sure that when you're in the context of being with a woman or at the job, you want to exhibit masculine traits, and those are to be decisive, direct, dependable, the rock, the mountain. You can't be this, ultra emo-y, let your emotions completely take control of you, because if you do that and you're crying all the time and all this stuff, and your woman sees this, she's inevitably going to get turned off because you're acting more like a woman than she is, and she doesn't want to deal with a woman. She wants a man. Just like you as a man don't want to be dating some tough, butch, tough girl, right? You would rather have a soft, feminine, sweet girl. So if you want that and you're an artist, do your art, but make sure that you're keeping that masculine side to yourself. So if you guys have any other questions about this, I'd be happy to answer them. Please leave them in the comments below. If you'd like one-on-one coaching with me about a topic or a challenge that you have in your life that you want to get through, click on the link in the information and book a session with me. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.